Hi, I'm Joe. I'm an alcoholic. All of us here at White Chip hope that you've been enjoying our audiobooks and AA speakers. You are welcome to join our Facebook group. Just click the link in the description and say hello. If you support the Alcoholic Anonymous cause, please hit the like and subscribe button. We upload new AA content every day, so if you want to see more, hit the notifications button. This way, you'll be the first to know when we've uploaded a new video. Without further ado, let's listen to the next AA speaker.
This is one of a series of presentations made at Sober Village 9 at Club Ixtapa in Mexico, January 30th through February 6, 1993. When the tape ends on side 1, please turn the tape to side 2 to continue with the program. Thank you.
Meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Chris, and I am an alcoholic. Are there any other alcoholics present? Would you please join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses or opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. The format of today's meeting is the leader qualifies for 5 minutes, followed by the main speaker. I guess I'll have to say a few words, right? It may take a little more than 5 minutes. I don't know. Today, my name is Chris. I'm an alcoholic. I'm sorry. And today's a good day for me. I didn't have to drink or drug. A very good day. Probably one of the best days of my life. This is a great honor to be up here. It really is. I don't know, I came to this program about 3.5 years ago. I come from a dysfunctional family of a little gambling, a little drugs, a little just dysfunctionality. You know, when you come into the program, you learn about dysfunctionality. You say, my family, not my family. And then after a while, you realize, what dysfunctionality really is, I don't know, like I said, I came to this program, I'm sober a little, 42 or 43 months. When I really, I tried when I was really young to get sober, and I couldn't do it when I was about 15 or 16. A brother of mine was in a therapeutic community. They forced me to go. I went, after about 6 months, I took off, and boom, I went out of whack, started dealing coke again, started drinking heavy, hanging out with the big boys after hours. Thought I was a real cougine, tough guy. Sometimes I think I still am. And it was great. I was getting free drugs, free liquor, free whatever I wanted. I was like 16 years old. I'd come home at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I have a 3-piece suit on. I'd go into the barber and hasten to trim my mustache. I had no hair on my face. It was funny. It was real funny. When I was about 19, I was introduced to AA by this guy Tommy, from my home group, Tommy the Roof. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know about AA. And he took me to my first meeting, and I said, what the hell am I doing? Look at all these old people and stuff like that. I said, and there was a sign, they said, sobriety can be fun. I said, these people are crazy. How could you have fun without getting drunk, And today I could have a ball without getting drunk, After that, I stopped. I didn't go to any more meetings. I started dating this girl that I dated when I was about 12. When I was about 19, we started going out with each other, and we moved in together, and I was drinking real heavy, getting high on drugs, and she didn't care that I got high on drugs as long as I didn't drink, because I would get violent when I would drink, and I would hit her and wreck the house, and havoc I would cause, jails, and a whole bunch of craziness. Bust up the house. They would have to hold me down so I wouldn't go out. I put my parents through hell, my family through hell. she left me after about 3 years. After about 3 years and about 4 beatings I gave her, and getting locked up 3 times, and she stood by me. I can't say she didn't for a while, but I guess she took too much and she left. And when she left, they opened up an AA meeting right across the street from my house, and I was there about a year. And I used to go in the little candy store across the street from my house, and I see this woman, this lady Karen, from I used to see in the clubhouse before they moved to where I live. And I'd be drinking a beer, and I'd tell her, I know where you're going. I says, I'm doing fine, I would tell her, I'd be sticking 3 down my sleeve and drinking 1 in the back, and buying a piece of candy. And after, like I said, she left, and I started going to meetings, and I would sit in the back, and I'd raise my hand, and I'd say, hi, my name is Chris, and I'm an alcoholic. I haven't drank for 7 days. And everybody would go, yay, But when I left the meeting, I'd get on my bike, I'd go to Bath Avenue on Bay 20th Street, and I'd buy a dime bag of pot. I thought that was all right, I'd go to the dentist, I get a tooth pull, I get some painkillers, and, I said 1 every 3 hours, I take 9 every 3 hours, And I thought that was, all right, I'm not drinking, that's all right, And, after about 3 weeks, I, ran into a man today I love dearly as my sponsor, and, it was a Sunday night, it was July 9th of 1989, and, he says, you got a sponsor? I said, it was a feelings meeting. It was a 7 o'clock feelings meeting, and I was out of it. I was hysterical, crying. I said, this girl left me. I don't know what to do. I can't drink no more. I can't do this no more. I got no job. I had to give up the apartment. I'm back with my parents. My life is in shambles. And after the meeting, the coffee break, we started talking. He says, you got a sponsor? I said, no. He goes, are you going to get one? I said, I don't know who to ask. One thing led to another. I asked him, and that night we took a ride over to this pizza shop near my house, Simone Gardens, and we went in and we were having some pizza, and he said, I can't help you if you're going to continue to smoke any pot. I said, all right, I wanted some help. He goes, the only reason you're feeling this pain is because you continue to getting high. I says, I don't want to feel this no more. I went home, I had a half a joint, I remember, I smoked it, and that was it. Monday morning, July 10th, for the grace of God, I'm so sober. I got a call that afternoon. It was my ex-girlfriend. She says to my sister Kathy, tell Chris I'm sorry about last night. That guy was in Maloney Gardens, but it was only a friend. I didn't even see her. I didn't even see her. She was in the place, and I've been sober ever since then. It's been real hard, man. It's been real hard. The last year and a half's been real tough, Paul. I've been out of work. I've been on compensation. I hurt my leg, and I don't know, just life is getting to me, it's real hard, whether you're an alcoholic or whether you're not, life is difficult, it really is, It's like I'm at a stage, I'm sober 3.5 years, and I feel like I'm going nowhere, I feel like I'm not going up and I'm not going down, I got to start working on myself, and it's hard, it's so hard to change the things that you're so comfortable with. And when you're doing good, and I ain't used to having good things and doing good in my life, so it feels, it feels uneasy. You think that a new job or a girl or walking around with $500 in your pocket or doing this or doing that is going to make you feel good and feel better. It's not the way it is. It's within you. You know what I'm saying? And some days, I have a feeling where I could carry the world on my shoulders. I really do. I feel great, and that's due to this program, I made a promise to a friend of mine yesterday. He says, I want you to start working 1 through 5, because I go to meetings, and all I do really is I don't drink and I go to meetings. I do very little work on myself, and all right, for the first year, maybe the first year and a half, 2 years, all right, I'm in my 4th year. I think, some things got to be changed in my life, I don't know, my parents I love dearly. They stick by me real good, they know how to push my buttons. They really do, especially my father. And being away from me, I'm 26 years old, but it's very hard. I'm like, I never done these things. I never been away from home. I never went away. So it's like all new to me. Growing up, I was in Sonora Bay about 9 months ago, and it was real hard for me, real hard. I wanted to leave by Wednesday, You know, I got here Saturday. The plane flight got a little messed up, and I was real mad. We got here like five hours late, and I was pissed off at the guys who booked the flight, and I'm pissed off at everybody. But you hold the resentment, and who does it hurt? It hurts you. It don't hurt nobody else. They were here, you know. Everybody was here already. Saturday night, I went into my room, and I went to sleep about 2 o'clock, and about 2:30, I got up, and my heart was racing. I was hyperventilating. I opened the door to my room. I started walking in the hallway. I said, "The hell with this. I ain't staying here. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm out of here. I'm getting a taxi. I'm going to the airport. I'm getting a car, an airplane back to the States." You know, it's like I feel like trapped in, you know, and that's like more issues of when I was younger, you know. I don't know, it's like I was going to therapy for a little while and I stopped because I was getting in touch with too many feelings and I couldn't handle it. You know, when I first got sober, I was going back to school because I'm not very well educated. I was going back to school. I was working a job on the books for the first time in my life. And I was going to meetings, trying to make 90 meetings in 90 days. I had all this stuff on my hands. So I stopped going to school and I continued to work because I needed money and I needed to keep my sanity. And I continued to go to meetings because I didn't want to drink and drug no more and live a miserable life. You know, as much as I go through today, I don't pick up a drink. As much as I want to, I don't pick up a drink. You know, I wanted to go in back of the bar and bust open the counter and have a few drinks the other night. I figured that would have put me to sleep and relieved my anxiety. But what would have done to me the next day, you know, I don't know. Like I said, this is an honor to be here. My life is better than it ever was, you know, and I thank my parents for bringing me into this world, and I thank God, my higher power, for bringing me here tonight. I would never change my life or anything that's happened in my life. Maybe one thing. If I could have my ex-girlfriend back, I would have her back, you know. It's hard for me. When you hold on to something for a long time, it's very difficult. You know, she's married today. She got married about 8 months ago, and that was real hard for me to deal with, you know. And that's about the only thing, if I could change, I would change. All the locked up times, all the drinking and drugging, I wouldn't change because I wouldn't be where I am today. And where I am today, I have friends in my life that are beautiful that I never had before. You know, and it's a good day for me, you know. One friend I'm going to bring up right now to read the traditions. I'm going to bring Pat S. up to read the traditions. The next person that's going to come up, I met him about 9 months ago. We were in Sonora Bay. I remember another friend of mine bumped into him and he was saying to me, he goes, "You look familiar. Did you ever play any ball?" You know, and he goes, you know, it was funny because he was asking him, and he is an ex-football player. But what made me take such a liking to him and everything is when he got up and he spoke on some family issues that really touched me, about his mom and about his dad and about his brothers and his sisters, and it really touched my heart and got it deep inside me, and he just hit a good nerve, you know. And when I got home, I was showing my brother a bunch of pictures. My brother's 32 years old and he's a heroin addict. I was showing my brother a bunch of pictures. I try to tell my brother, like, look at these people that are doing good, and maybe he would, you know, listen, but he don't, you know. That's, I guess, life. And I went home and I was like, I was with Tom Sense, you know. As soon as he spoke, he sounded great and everything. I was telling my friend Pat and everybody else, and I guess there's no other words to bring up this guy. Welcome, Thomas Henderson.
My name is Thomas Henderson, and I'm an alcoholic. Thanks, Chris. Chris should be in the movies. What a voice, huh? He could do gangster films or something, huh? Hey, what do you mean, man? Come here, man, you know. I'm glad to be here. I'm actually glad to be anywhere, and I'm wearing white tonight because I'm pure. Actually, today I'm one of the most grateful recovering alcoholics that I know. You see, in 1983, I walked into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous in trouble, with no future, with no friends, with no career, no money, nowhere to stay. So when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, I had nowhere else to go. And since 1983, I can stand up here and tell you here in Ixtapa, Mexico, I still have nowhere else to go. I found my tribe. Early in my recovery, I was lucky enough to meet a man named Chuck D, who had a sponsor named Frank O, who had a sponsor named Chuck C. And I have found out through this program, I'm emotional tonight because I'm real grateful. I have found out through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous that sponsors and friends are holy. I had a chance to talk to Chuck C, and right at the end of his life, and I'm just lucky to have met the right people at the right time in order for me to get a great foundation in Alcoholics Anonymous. Sure, I go to other fellowships. I'm sick, I'm afraid to watch Oprah, Hell, they might have something new, Shit, I say, hell, I got that too, Two things are apparent to me right now, and that is, early on in this program, a couple of things are real clear to me about Alcoholics Anonymous, and Chris kind of touched on it here a few minutes ago. There is a part of this fellowship that says, I can just don't drink and go to meetings. And then the other part of this fellowship is that when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the attraction was, as people said, and in the big book it said, if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, here are the steps you take to get it. Well, I've taken those steps. And I'd like to hope that I'm where the big book talks about, around step 10, where I do have something. Because instead of me hanging around Alcoholics Anonymous all my damn life, wanting what somebody across the room has, at some point in this program, I gotta like what I got. And today, I like what I got from this fellowship. I don't have to look across the room and wish that I had what you had. Particularly with women, So I like what I got from Alcoholics Anonymous, and I like to nurture that, and I like to be green and growing rather than ripe and rotten, and I like to pass on stuff that I think is useful to other human beings. I've been through a lot of therapy and a lot of treatment and counseling, and I even did some time in the penitentiary. And everything that's happened to me has been a blessing. I'm one of the few people I know in the state of California, they rescued me from me. I spent 2 years and 4 months in the penitentiary, and it was the best 2 years and 4 months that I can remember because I planned to have a life. I'm supposed to tell you tonight what it was like and what happened and what it's like now. Well, what it was like is I was born and raised in a dysfunctional home, which most of us, say that when we come here. But I always like to tell people, let me describe my family to you. My mother, Violet Faye, God bless her. Violet Faye was a 15-year-old girl who had a bouncing, bubbling boy named Thomas in March of 1953. And she had gotten pregnant on a one little relationship with a guy who was in the military, and of course he was a young man, and I was born in 1953, this 15-year-old girl, and I kind of grew up with her. But my mother was a violent woman, and part of me was violent until I got into the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't do that anymore. When I was 12 years old, my mom and stepfather fought a lot. Now, I didn't meet my real father until I was 21 years old and playing in the National Football League. All of a sudden, he came out of the woodwork in New York. Hey, that's my boy there. That's my son. Boy, what a kid. Look, ain't he a good-looking boy? We'll talk about him later. My mother and father fought on weekends. You know, they would go to the grocery store, and one of the stores they stopped by on every Friday night was a liquor store, and they would come out with a brown paper sack, you know, with the bag kind of twisted tight, you know, and that was their bottle. And that bottle caused a lot of problems in my household. So I was the oldest child of 5, and I was the only one in the house named Henderson. The rest of them was named Rivers, you know. And so right off, as a young child, I intuitively knew there was something wrong with this house because my little brothers and sisters knew who their father was and I did not, see. So I felt a little less than early on, you know, where's my daddy, Mama? Well, he's in New York. Well, what does he look like? Go look in the mirror. Well, why don't he come down here? I don't know. So it was an unanswered question for many years, but they fought. I mean, my mother, you know, I used to hear when Caucasian people fight, it was a verbal thing. When black people fight, it's like black eyes and noses busted and shootings. And so when I was 12 years old one night, I had witnessed a lot of these fights and been part of some of them. I walked out on the porch one night, and my mother was standing there with her eyes both black and bloodied. My stepfather staggering in the yard drunk. And she had his rifle that she had just bought him for Christmas, cocked, loaded, and aimed at him. And she said to him, and I thought was pretty good information, she said, don't you come near this house and you better leave here now or I'm going to shoot you. Well, being the good alcoholic, brave alcoholic that he was, he took another step and she shot him. And I got to tell you, as a 12-year-old kid standing against the paneling of that front porch there, when I saw the flame jump out of the rifle, the sound of that, my father making a sound, and the smell of the gun smoke, one thing happened to me at 12 years old. She scared me to death. I never understood their relationship because he went to the hospital. I was 12 years old. I don't know if y'all remember this back in the old days. They wouldn't let you on emergency floors or up into the hospital unless you were 12. Now, I remember being 12 because I was the only child who could go up and see my stepfather. And he had tubes running down his nose, had tubes running in his body, a couple of places, and he survived this gunshot. But one thing I learned from that experience, you always learn something. There's always a silver lining in something. I learned that if a woman ever shoots me, I'm moving. Because he moved back into the house with her, and they were together another 15 years. Well, see, that's a dysfunctional house. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous on page 18, it talks about the employer, the wives, but one statement in there, it talks about the warped lives of blameless children who are raised in alcoholic and dysfunctional homes. See, I was one of those children, and I think I have the right to deal with those issues. And I've done that in my recovery. Well, of course, and it took my mother opened up an after-hours joint. Of course, she became famous with the gun by then. It went from Violet Faye to Annie Oakley. She shot several men at the after-hour club that we had in Austin. And in 1978, while I was playing in the National Football League, I was called off the field by Tom Landry one day, and he said, I got a message here, and I asked him to go re-verify it. He says, but here's the message. They say your mother shot your grandfather 5 times. Call home. So if anybody in this room don't understand that a 12-year-old boy comprehended one thing, my first feeling that I understood and comprehended was fear. Pure, blatant fear. Shame-based. Didn't know who my father was. I remember as a child going to the grocery store with my family, and we would every Friday. My daddy got paid $70, $80. I remember kind of what that money was, $65 or something. It was 1965 in there. And we would go to the grocery store, and, you know, me and my 4 children, my 4 siblings, my 4 brothers and sisters, we would, like, terrorize the store. In other words, when I left the grocery store on Friday night, I was full. Trust me. But I remember going to the parking lot with my family, and we were loading groceries into our raggedy car, and something struck me, you know, that I really always wanted to go with the family over there. I wish I could go home with them. See, because as far as I can remember, as long as I can remember, until I was 13 years old, my mother beat the hell out of me. She wouldn't let my stepfather hit me. And I resent that. She made a statement about a year ago in front of mixed company. She said, you know, I beat him the most and he turned out the best. I resented that. She thought it was a compliment. I finally got out of this house at 16 years old. I decided to leave and move to Oklahoma to live with my grandmother, who was a Bible-thumping woman. I got out of Austin. And I moved to Oklahoma and went to high school, went back to high school actually. My drinking and drugging career, you know, I think if you're raised by alcoholics, they give you alcohol early on. So, you know, when somebody said, when was your first drink? Well, it was probably in a bottle. I don't remember, you know, sucking on a bottle and go, hey, this is a good bud. But I'm just saying, I think if you're raised by alcoholics, they give you alcohol. So we don't know when we had our first drink. I kind of resented alcohol. I actually swore it off for many, many, many years. I said I would never drink and be like them. I'm never going to drink like them. I hated the smell of it. I hated the way it came out of their skin. I just didn't like the stuff. So I was a young man who liked to do fun felonies. I liked to steal and sell and steal and sell. And I was a street boy. My mother and father had nothing. They worked hard. They were hard-working people. So I finally got out of high school in 1971 and went to college in Oklahoma at a little small school, 900 students. And, nobody had recruited me as the greatest football player in the world. Nobody knew who the hell I was by the time I got to Langston University in Oklahoma. And I put on a uniform and became Violet Faye for 4 years. We lost, my senior year at Langston University, we lost all but one football game, and the University of Oklahoma won the national championship, and I was the first player drafted out of Oklahoma in the first round by the Dallas Cowboys. Through college, I smoked marijuana, took acid, mescaline, just whatever you had. You know, it just didn't matter what you had, except I didn't drink. I'd buy you a drink. I'd go in on a bottle of wine, but I didn't drink. I don't like alcohol. It was way later on that I loved that green bottle with the little red rose on it. Are there any Tangerine tonic drinkers here? Oh. You know, the reason I couldn't get sober the first time because I didn't think I was an alcoholic. I got to tell this story intermittently. I was the first NFL player to go public with my cocaine addiction in 1981. Of course, I called the commissioner. So I'm a grandiose guy. I could have called Tom Landry. I could have called the press or mom and dad, but I called the NFL commissioner's office, and the secretary, I remember that day, she said, the commissioner's busy in meetings all day. I said, well, give him this message for me. Tell him this is Thomas Hollywood Henderson, and I'm smoking cocaine, and I really need to speak with him. I mean, if you want to get through, you got to give him reason to call you back. So he reached out and touched my ass in about 2 minutes. And I went into a drug treatment program, and I'm skipping around here, but I wanted to put this in. I went into treatment in 1981. Now, you know, I've been sober since 83, so I went in 81, went into a psychiatric hospital, and of course, that's why I like step 2 in this program, because I was one insane man when I got here. I was angry. I was lonely. I was a mess when I got into this program. So I got there, and the funny thing about the alcoholic or anybody who comes into these rooms initially or whatever, we seem to have a hidden agenda, because most of the time I think we can pinpoint what the problem is. I had pinpointed my problem was cocaine. So I didn't listen to anything about alcohol, or anything about marijuana, or anything about pills during my 60-day, $53,000 treatment experience. They celebrated when I left. They clapped me out, put a circle around me, loved me, empowered me, energized me. And I got in my Mercedes-Benz, and a friend of mine picked me up, and we were headed back to Dallas. I was going to drive because it was beautiful to be getting out of treatment. They gave me a beautiful medallion. It was beautiful, and we were riding on the highway doing about 70 miles an hour, 1981, about March, close to my birthday, and my friend had bought me a bag of marijuana, and I rolled me a big fat joint of marijuana. As we were cruising down the highway, I rolled a joint, pushed in the lighter, fired it up, and said to my buddy doing about 7, I said, yeah, I think this program's going to work. This is going to be beautiful. And I was back smoking crack a short time after that, you know, and did it for another 2 years. Went to a real horrendous, pitiful, and incomprehensible demoralizing bottom, because I never connected with the other substances. And I like to say to any newcomer here tonight who likes red wine with red meat, or white wine with fish, lose that idea. I was drafted to the National Football League, and nothing had changed in my life. I was 21 years old and was given around $100,000. So coming from the poverty that I'd come from, I was a rich man. But I did not know how to live. I was not part of a fellowship like a church. I was not part of this great fellowship to teach me how to live. I did not know how to live. You understand me? And if you don't learn how to live, you never know how to live. That's why I'm so grateful for the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. In order. Some of us work them steps like it's a damn menu. You know what I'm saying? You see, before I got to these rooms, I did not know how to live. I never had a life. Sure, I had a career. Sure, I played in 3 Super Bowls. Sure, I made a lot of money on television, but I was not happy. I didn't have a relationship with God. I was not a spiritual man. I had nothing. I had money, property, and prestige, but that is no good if you don't have nothing inside. Alcoholics Anonymous gave me something inside. It filled me up with trust and hope and confidence, love. It taught me how to love me, because before I could love me, I couldn't love you. Tom Landry drafted me in the first round, and of course he thought I was a mistake. You know, I was from a small college. We played. Tom Landry had this computerized system, okay? And in my school, we played a 5-2 sick'em. So it was a little bit of adjustment for me to read computerized defenses rather than just go out and kick ass. You know what I'm saying? There's a little adjustment, you know. You kind of had to show up every day with a book under your arm. You know what I mean? It became a business. I didn't like Tom Landry. You know, and before I talk about him, I'm going to tell you he's the finest man I think I've ever known. He was a Christian man, a family man. He was upstanding in his community. And those of you who were at Sonora Bay last year know he wrote me a letter of amends that blew me out of the water. I hate it when people work this program who ain't in it, don't you? How dare them work this program before I get my shot. When I met people who were on this path of spirituality and real life and family and being in these relationships with women, they love their wives. You know, I thought fidelity was a speaker system or something. You know what I mean? I had no idea that it had anything to do with standing by your woman, you know. You know, when I was drafted to the National Football League, I did what all athletes do. And I think this is what every athlete does who ain't never had nothing. You know, I got this big check, so I went and bought a brand new car and a stereo system. I didn't have nowhere to park it or plug it up, but those were my first purchases. By the time I reached the National Football League, my drinking and drugging were like, no big deal. I mean, I had probably been, somebody got me a drink once or twice in college. I got drunk once or twice in college. I took a lot of acid and took a lot of speed, but that didn't count. I mean, those kind of things didn't count. I mean, I just didn't drink. In 1975, when I got drafted, we went to the Super Bowl and we played the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1975. I was a rookie. We were America's team. And it was 1976, and we were celebrating the bicentennial of America from 1776 to 1976, and some guy named Calder, a great artist, painted the jet, and we went to Miami to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I got to tell you, it was the first time in my life that I started feeling uncomfortable with the success, feeling uncomfortable around these people. Because people like Roger Staubach and Tom Landry and Bob Brunig and some other people I knew were Christians. They were faithful to their wives. And I used to say to them, I mean seriously, I used to say to Roger Staubach, hey man, don't you get it? It's the women, the drugs, the club, fun. And I thought there was something wrong with them. See, and now I got to realize there was something wrong with me. See, when you're raised in a dysfunctional home by dysfunctional people, you become a dysfunctional child, a dysfunctional adolescent, and a dysfunctional adult. And until you change that, that's who you are. That's why Alcoholics Anonymous is such a wonderful thing for me. I like what I've got. I don't need to look around this room and want what you got. I remember being at a lecture about 2 months ago. A friend of mine, Jerry C., sober 37 years, came to speak at one of the little meetings for me down in Austin. And he came in, and it was a low-bottom meeting, and he told his story. Now, he's worth about $20 million, and he's about 70 years old, and he's a great man. He works on the Council of Alcoholism in Texas. But anyway, when he got through, I thought it was because he told the guys, if you want what I got, you got to be doing this. And so I looked at him. I said, well, Jerry, let me get this straight. If I want what you got, I said, when I'm 70 years old, I'll be short, white, and rich. Is that right? And I use that to say you got to want what you got at some point in this program, or you just don't drink and go to meetings. Because there is a solution in this program. It's all over this book that I love so much, that changed my life. We were preparing to play the Steelers, and Mike Ditka, who's the head coach of the Chicago Bears, came over to me and said, Thomas, you've been elected captain of the specialty teams for this Super Bowl. And I had a great year. I mean, I was wild. I would run down the field, And you know, like a blind person, what I used to really love about running is I could feel the wind against my face because God had really blessed me to run. I could run. My legs never failed me. You know, my legs I tell you, God blessed me with some legs. I've never had an injury to my legs. I just could run and I could run and so we were playing this Super Bowl and he said, "Okay, Thomas, you got to go out in the middle of the field here for the coin toss." And so I got ready for this and walked out there with Roger Staubach and Randy White and Charlie Waters and Leroy Jordan and all these people. And you know what? And I always looked at other people as better than me. It didn't matter what my ego said. It didn't matter how I dressed or what car I drove. I always thought you were better than me. You just didn't know it. I was just glad to be here. I get out in the middle of the field, you know, feeling less than and feeling like I ain't supposed to be there. I'm almost afraid that somebody's going to come over the intercom and go, "Hey, 56. Come on. You don't deserve to be here. Get your ass out of here." And I wonder what that is. You know, you walk around with impending doom, kind of I don't belong. You know, I'm ashamed. You know, what if they know that I used to smell like urine when I was growing up? What if they know that I was, you know, they used to get beat up by my mom all the time? What if they knew all this? Will they still like me? So what goes on in the dysfunctional mind? I'm standing there. They're about to play the national anthem. The official there has a 200-year-old coin. It says 1776 on it. It's a thick piece of gold. On the back, it's got a head, and on this side, it's got the date. And he says, "We're going to flip this to see who kicks off and receives the Super Bowl 10. And what am I thinking in my little ghetto mind? I want to steal the coin. You just cannot stop dysfunctional thoughts coming to the dysfunctional mind. I watched the official the whole game. See, part of me was a thief. Part of me was a liar. All of me didn't know how to live until I came into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1976, I started to drink a little. I started drinking Tom Collins. And I tell you what I liked about Tom Collins. I liked the cherry and the orange and the umbrella more than any other part of the drink. Our bartender told me, he said, I said, what can I drink? I really don't drink. Give me, what can I drink? You know, he never said club soda. They assume you got to have something. You know, growing up in America, it seems like I'm not surprised that Alcoholics Anonymous has grown as big as it has grown. I'm not surprised that we are alcoholics and addicts. Because if you think about it, drinking is ordained on us. Drinking is a rite of passage to adulthood. It's a 21-year-old thing to do. It's a prerequisite to adulthood. You know, 10 years ago, they finally figured out that alcoholism was